What's up, everybody? Welcome to the video. Chris Pennell here. We're going bowling at the Glen this weekend for our 5th road course race of the season. And let's just hope that somebody can be close enough to SVG this weekend to make it an actual race, because otherwise I do think the racing won't be too bad for everybody else, but it's just a matter of how close is the field going to be to SVG this week. We do have Connor Zilic in a cup ride this weekend, so that's something that's certainly going to help, but we will have to wait and see. But anyway, if that's your first time here, what's up? My name is Chris Pennell. I break down NASCAR DFS each and every single week on this channel. Videos on Saturdays, live streams on Sundays, planning for 1 p.m. Eastern, so be there, be square, always a good time. And if you do enjoy today's video, make sure you leave a like down below. Scott Chan for brand new. Let's dive right into it. All right, let's talk some strategy here for Watkins Glen. It's just your classic road course. It's actually one of the 2 classic road courses that we always went to, Sonoma and Watkins Glen. So a lot of these Cup guys do have plenty of experience on this track, which some would say maybe that gives you a slight edge to get closer to SVG, but he was still one of the best cars, and looking at practice and qualifying, still one of the best cars, although maybe not quite the advantage that we have seen at previous tracks, so maybe we're trending in the right direction. But we only have 90 laps this weekend. That's not that many Dominator points. That's obviously less than 100 Dominator points, so we're looking at probably like a 1 Dom build, depending on who ends up getting on the pole. Sometimes you can kind of just go place differential / high finishing position potential. That is certainly fine. Of course, if you do nail the main Dom that happens to win the race, that's great too. It just depends on how qualifying goes. Like if SVG's on the pole, you can clearly play him, but if he happened to qualify 9th for some reason, you don't always have to play anybody up front. You could just play SVG, and then depending on how everything else went, you could just play the place differential. And we're going to look at 2 figures this week, and I'll tell you right now, there is 2 major outliers that are really skewing the way that this looks, unfortunately. SVG's break in the scale, we're talking a near perfect driver rating, nearly 1 for the average run position. They have Cody Ware dead last. Also, you're going to see Connor Zilic there. I don't have a number card for him for some reason. He's in the very back because he ran 1 race, and then Daniel Suarez killed him, and then Catherine Leggs down there too. I got to update the number cards for that, but basically, this means so far this year, it's 4 sample size, SVG has been so much better than everybody else. I mean, he's in the single digits, nobody else inside these single digits. Christopher Bell's been really good, McDowell's been good, Reddick has been good, just a little bit less good than he has been in recent memory. Ty Gibbs, Ross Chastain, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott. These are going to be the guys you see on Sunday. I don't see another way around it. I mean, sometimes Alex Bowman can show out. Kyle Larson will probably end up being a bit better, I think. He's been really good at the road courses in the next gen, just hasn't really shown it so far this year. He's had a couple of issues as well, but yeah, this basically means SVG Dunkfest. Then if we expand this to the entire next gen era of road courses, this definitely looks a little bit better scaled. You're going to see JJ Elliott at the very bottom here, which, yeah, I mean, yeah, that car is an absolute junker, but SVG is still at the very top. Tyler Reddick, I will tell you right now, Tyler Reddick has gotten worse at the road courses, it seems like, this year, but those previous seasons are definitely pulling some heavy weight here. Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell. I think Christopher Bell is so good at road courses. I just think he's so good at most places, but I really like him. Hopefully he shows some speed for me this weekend, because I am obviously quite interested. Dinger's up there, Byron, Buescher, basically the same faces. And Ryan Blaney's actually kind of been sneaky good at the road courses this season specifically. So it'll be really interesting to see what kind of speed he has on Saturday morning / afternoon. And finally, moving on to the driver by driver breakdown, but I have to mention one thing first, and that is, of course, it's a free video, guys. Can let me do my plugs and feed the dog. But if you want to join the best NASCAR DFS community out there, do cover baseball every single day, and we have NFL coming very soon in a few short weeks. I've been working on all off season, revamping the model for that and getting everything ready. So very excited. It's been a very profitable sport for me. Looking forward to this season. But if you want to test drive all the tools completely free for a week, if you are a new user, you can look in the link down below in the description or the pinned comment for the Patreon. And I won't mention everything on here to bore you to death, but if you want to screenshot or pause, be my guest. But you don't find this amount of content or data available to you at these price tags. I have the optimizer for DraftKings and FanDuel. I cover the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup Series, all the same, tons of data and content for that. And with the DraftKings Contest Simulator, which can send up to 10,000 lineups at once, no matter what kind of contest you are in, whether it be large field tournaments, single entry GPPs, or even cash games. So if you want to come in and check it out, I'd love to have you. If not, that's fine. But let's dive right into it. And it's kind of funny, we were just talking about Ryan Blaney. I was really curious to see what his speed looked like in qualifying. Then he ends up throwing it on the pole over SVG, which seems about impossible shot to him. Oh, that makes him pretty much impossible for DFS purposes. But I want to head over to practice. And we can always look at the consecutive lap averages. They're fine to look at, but you always need context with that. Like, you're going to see Kyle Busch down here in 38th for the 5 lap. He's not actually that slow. If you actually look at his actual lap by lap data, you're going to see he gets to his 4th lap here, 300 seconds. Then his 6th lap, 400. Those are not laps you can count. So he didn't get 5 consecutive lap runs. That's why it looks so bad. So I think this tells a much better story. So if we have it ranked the way I like to look at it, some of these guys that have a bit of an advantage in practice, but it did even out a bit in the long run. If you head over my Twitter page, I did post the graphs of these drivers and how their lap times looked on a graph. So you can see, like, is he consistently being low and maybe there's a spike here and there, or is he consistently getting worse, or is he staying about the same? And that's something that I think is nice to look at. So Chris Pennell 16 on Twitter, you can go and check that out. I don't really tweet much, but sometimes there's some interesting info there. But Justin Haley took the cake in practice. Kyle Larson up there, Michael McDowell, William Byron, Todd Gilliland, Connor Z, Ty Gibbs, Chris Buescher, Bowman, SVG, a little bit lower on this list, but his lap times still look really good to me. So, I mean, sure, it's a little bit lower if you look at the overall average. Again, a little bit lower, but I really don't think it's anything. He still put down some blistering laps. There might have just been a few that maybe killed his averages a little bit. But I'm not going to get married to practice, but of course it is nice to look at. But let's go driver by driver. Don't really have a 5-figure range this week, just 2, and one of them's $13,000. But we're going to go 9K and up. And it looks like we have some decent place differential plays here. But the big question mark is, do we SVG or do we not SVG? My current guess, I've not run projections, of course. I mean, qualifying just ended. It takes a while to run 20,000 simulations this race. But at that price tag of nearly $13,000, I will tell you right now, it's almost a guarantee that SVG is going to be a projected winner. He's going to be the projected top dominator by a lot. The problem is, first off, I've never seen someone $15,000 on FanDuel. That is the first for me. I've only seen $14,000. And it's years and years and years of playing FanDuel. So that's new to me. It's probably because he was only 135 in the betting odds, which is insane as well for a cup race. But $13,000. I mean, Kyle Larson starts 27th. He was also very fast in practice. Connor Z is the second favorite in this race, at least before practice and qualifying. Maybe not going to be the case this time, but he is 25th. He's over $3,000 cheaper, almost $4,000 cheaper than SVG. You can do a lot of extra flexibility in your lineup having $4,000 extra dollars. You could, like, instead of going SVG and then going straight down to maybe the 8K range, you could play multiples of Kyle Larson, Connor Z, maybe even Chase Elliott in the same lineup. So it's going to be a matter of, what does fading SVG get me? Is it going to be enough? Because if SVG leads 60 laps and wins the race, that's still a pretty good day. But you can make it up for sure. I mean, Larson's probably not dominating, Connor Z's not dominating, but they could finish in the top 5 for sure, and they don't really need those dominator points. And again, they're $3,000-$4,000 cheaper than Shane Van Gisbergen. So it's going to be interesting to see what projections look like. I can't really say for now if Shane's a lock in cash games, because it's going to depend on how the cheap plays end up working out. But right now, I just feel like his ownership, my optimal percentage is going to be lower. That's my guess right now. We'll talk more about it in the live stream tomorrow, but no doubt about it. I mean, Shane's the best. If we're looking at the 7-race sample size, it's the next-gen Watkins Glen races, and then it's also the 4 races we've had at road courses this year. So 7-race sample size for the guys that have ran the max, 5 for SVG, but he has clearly been the best. You guys don't need me to ramble about it. He is the best road course racer by far. Kyle Larson starts 27th. He was really fast in practice. Has not been that great at the road courses this season, but Watkins Glen, he does have some strong numbers, does have a win as well. He's not like the premier road course racer, at least based off of this season, but 20-race sample size in the next gen era. I mean, he does have 3 wins, which is tied for the second most with Tyler Reddick. I mean, for where he's starting, he's going to move up. I think he's a fine cash play if you want to forego SVG just to get the place differential with Larson. I think Bell and Byron are going to be really excellent tournament plays, because my guess right now is Elliott, Connor, Larson, SVG will probably have the most ownership here. But Bell, Byron, and Chris Buescher are definitely going to be nice contrarian plays. I mean, Chase Elliott's a top 5 machine in the next gen era, 20-race sample size, 11 top 5s. Next guy is Tyler Reddick with 9. And Chase Elliott had a lot of speed at the road courses this year. So, yeah, I mean, he's a fine PD play. Same with Connor Zilic. He only has 1 race in the next gen era, but got killed by Daniel Suarez. So, easy cash plays, Elliott, Connor, Kyle Larson, maybe Shane if you have the money. I really think Buescher, Byron, and Bell are pretty much all the same plays. If you're basing this off of practice, quickest was William Byron. Chase Elliott a little bit lower on the list, and Chris Buescher was the second fastest of that group if you want to base it off of that, but I think they're all basically identical, and I imagine their projections are going to be within just a couple of points each. So obviously, 9K and up all looks really good. I will be decently spread out on them, but if you're looking for leverage, I think the guys that don't offer major PD or Shane Van Gisbergen are going to be the plays. Dropping down the 8K range, Tyler Reddick, once again, just kind of showing some more struggles at the road courses, was not fast in practice whatsoever, qualified 21st. We just haven't really seen that much success from Tyler Reddick at road courses this year compared to what I would say relative to what we expect out of him. Now, the 7-race sample size still has 5 top 10s, 2 top 5s. I think he'll be a top 10 contender But I think I like the guys right above him a little bit more. He'll certainly be in the player pool, but I am kind of curious to see that, once again, just more of a struggle out of Tyler Reddick. I would have liked to see better qualifying effort, better practice effort, and that does concern me because I did have some concerns heading into this weekend. Ty Gibbs also been really good at the road courses this season. Was decently fast in practice, top 15 across the board. If you're looking at his numbers in the sample size, 2 top 5s, 3 top 10s. I would put him in the same boat as someone like Chris Buescher, William Byron, those kind of drivers. Christopher Bell, maybe just a tick below them, but a little bit cheaper as well. Chase Briscoe, probably just not going to play him in third. I know he's been really good at the road courses this year. I believe he's second in green flag speed. I want to say second in average running position, but when I can get guys that start 21st, 14th with, I would say, pretty similar projected finish upside, it's kind of tough for me to play the guy in third. I'd rather play Michael McDowell. Personally, he has to have a race win strategy. Like, we're not going to have to worry about points racing for him, which I think is a big plus. Plus, he has the Go Bowling sponsor on his card this weekend, and this is the Go Bowling at the Watkins Glen, so he has that working in his favor. So I think Michael McDowell will be a pretty solid tournament play. I don't think much ownership is going to go there just because of all the place differential that we have. Ross Chastain's in a similar boat, but I am most likely going to prefer Michael McDowell there. Ross was fine in practice, roughly around top 10, but Michael McDowell did show some more speed, and he starts 2 spots further back. Allmendinger is probably going to be popular, only $8,200, starting 18th at a road course. Didn't show a ton of speed in practice, but we do know one of the better road course racers out there, although he's definitely lost his edge pretty much ever since Shane was a thing. I think the interest in him has definitely gotten lower. We used to pay nearly $10,000 for him at road courses. Now he's hanging out with Denny Hamlin here in the low 8K range. And speaking of Denny Hamlin, starts in 22nd. I know he's had a couple of decent road course finishes this season, but one of those was off strategy. I believe it was the Chicago race when he finished 3rd or 4th. I would rather play AJ Allmendinger. I know he starts 4 spots further up, but I trust him more at a road course than I do Denny Hamlin in this day and age. 7K range, Ryan Blaney starts him first. I think it's a pretty likely outcome. He loses the lead, maybe even the first lap to Shane. I just don't see how you can play Blaney. He's also shown the tendency to points race a little bit at these road courses, and this would put him in a prime position to do that for stage 1. So I not real too interested there. Alex Bowman, I'm going to put him in that similar list to Michael McDowell. I think he's probably the most underrated road course racer in the series, at least one of them. Maybe I shouldn't say the most, but I do like Bowman at road courses. Fair speed in practice. He will be in the player pool for me. I mean, he's only 7K. I just feel like Bowman's been way underpriced almost every single week this year. Kyle Busch out there in the same boat. I don't really trust him as much because something always seems to go wrong for Kyle Busch, but he was one of the better cars in practice, good qualifying effort. Obviously, he has plenty of track time at Watkins Glen. I put him in that same boat as Alex Bowman. I prefer Bowman more because you have the 2 extra PD spots, but they are very close. Plus, Kyle Busch is definitely going to have to try winning a race here at some point, and this might be one of the better chances for him to do besides Daytona. Ryan Preece, pretty awful practice session. Ends up qualifying inside the top 20. He's actually been somewhat all right at them. If you're looking at the sample size here, 6 race sample size. I finished 15th, running position of 16th, 4 top 15s, 2 top 10s. Like, it's fine. It's not something I'm really going my way to get starting in 17th, but he's going to be a lot safer than guys like a Bowman or Kyle Busch. I just don't think the finish upside is going to be there. Joey Logano, someone that I think probably hovers around the top 10. At his price point, it's whatever. I like him more than, say, a Ryan Blaney, for sure, starting 10 spots further back. But strategy always seems to go their way more often than not. Practice wasn't horrible for them. It's kind of a dead zone for me, starting at 11th. Same with Carson Hocevar. Good finish last year, but from what we've seen so far this season, he's been someone you just cannot trust at road courses. It's been an absolute disaster. Austin Cindric in 13th. He's definitely been more disappointing than not at road courses since we saw him in the Xfinity Series, when I think we probably expected him to be great at road courses. That just has not been the case. Daniel Suarez at 19th. Just feels like the 99 car is a bit dead this season, especially with the news that he's not going to be back in the ride next season. I just feel like there's better plays than paying $7,100 for Daniel Suarez. Brad Keselowski starting at 6. It's just, man, this is such a weird range, the 7K range. Not one driver starting outside of the top 20. So there's just no real standout plays. For me, it's Bowman and Busch, and that's really about it. Like, I'll probably have some Preece ownership because he actually has some of the PD, maybe Logano, but I don't really have any interest in anybody else besides these 4, but mainly these 2, just because they might look out strategy-wise on winning the race, but, you know, maybe Bowman ends up point racing. That could get annoying. Kyle Busch, I don't really think that's going to happen. But Wallace kicks off the 6K range. He has been a DFS demon the past 2 weeks, and if you guys were watching last weekend's race, ends up going from 32nd to 6th on the last run, like 50 laps. That was incredible. No one was really passing all day, and then Bo Wallace does that. I'm surprised the car Pass post race. But anyway, starts in 15th. I probably just can't click on it in a road course. Horrible in practice. Not someone I really trust the road courses anyway. I'd rather take PD. Todd Gilliland was one of the better cars in practice. He starts in 28th. I know this is a bit expensive for Todd, but he's actually a decent road course racer. So I don't mind taking that. John Nemechek in 31st. I'm fine with it if that's just the salary range you land on. Like any of these guys that have PD, it can work out. We've seen road courses where the strategy gets flipped. All the guys in the back end up being 6 out of nowhere. Or just there's a bunch of chaos at the end if we get overtimes and then they gain 20 spots for no reason. So you can't just X them out of the player pool. I prefer Nemechek over Eric Jones. I prefer Gilliland over Eric Jones, but like he's somewhat in there. Josh Berry, I don't usually play at the road courses. I know he had a good finish last time, but it was just complete, field flipped a little bit and then helped him out. Austin Dillon, pretty much same boat there. Not really interested. Noah Gragson is an absolute wreck machine. Starts in 36, so I get it if you want it for the PD, but he is not someone you can trust any week, any style of track. If you're looking at his 5-race sample size of these road courses in Watkins Glen, average finish 23rd, running position 22nd, it could definitely be worse. Again, it's just one of those things where any of these pump plays, you don't want to play them, but if you land on them, it's fine just if they have some place differential to work with, which Noah Gragson does, same with rookie Stenhouse. Justin Haley could be the pivot off of these chalkier plays. I think Zane Smith will have some ownership as well, starting in 34th, maybe even Ty Dillon, Cole Custer. I don't really have interest in Riley Herbst, Balicki, Ware, Catherine Legg, or JJ Yaley, although Catherine has been getting better. If you are playing Shane, you might have to look at some Catherine, but that's probably the only reason I would do it. I can't imagine she brings too much speed, but again, I don't really think she's going to be in harm's way too often, so if we get like 10 DNFs, that's the way it can work out. But Justin Haley was one of the fastest cars in practice. First in the 1 lap, first in the 5, second in the 10, second in the 15. And while I do think he had a bit of an advantage at the time he went out during practice, not the worst road course racer, and he's got some decent track position. If he snuck in a 17th, I wouldn't be overly surprised about that. But his floor is not going to be anything close to guys like, say, Zane Smith or Noah Gragson, just because of where they're starting. So kind of just taking a entire look at the slate here. The only real mega chalk I could see happening is probably Connor at $9,200, maybe Kyle Larson at 27th. But other than that, I don't really see any like complete standout place differential plays, which is going to make this a pretty fun slate, I think, because we're not like really forcing anything. Like I don't even feel forced into Connor. Like Chase Elliott could easily be a better play than Connor. Even William Byron, Kyle Larson, SVG. I think that's going to be a fun thing to dance with. So this is actually a really fun slate for tournaments. Cash games might be a little bit tricky because again, like I said, I don't really see anything that completely stands out to me. So kind of excited. But that being said, that's all I got for you guys this week. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, even if you didn't, make sure you link down below. Scratch it for brand new. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or check out all the extra content over on Patreon. You know where to find it. Link can be found down below. I'll see you on the live stream tomorrow. Wish you all the best and see you all next time.